The movie opens with a haunting scene of a dimly lit forest at dusk. A car navigates a narrow road, surrounded by dense woods, while its occupants tune into a radio broadcast discussing the recent discovery of an asteroid that appears to be dangerously close to Earth. Seated in the passenger seat, Harry expresses his genuine pleasure at having Roy back on their exploration team after a mysterious 4-month absence. Curious about the newly introduced member Mike, Roy begins asking questions to gain insight into his character and personality. After a lengthy drive, the car finally reaches an open clearing. Roy, with a somber expression, steps out of the vehicle and unfolds his chair, settling down with a thermos in hand. Meanwhile, Mike, who had been seated in the back, struggles to retrieve the bulky equipment from the car. Despite his efforts, he finds himself unable to manage the weight alone. Sensing his struggle, Harry quickly comes to his aid, lending a helping hand to unload the heavy equipment from the back of the car. Together, they successfully overcome the challenge and prepare for their exploration. Once they have set up the computerized telescope and their computers, they retreat to the car and begin their vigilant monitoring. Hours pass by in anticipation until Mike finally detects a significant signal, prompting her to jot it down. As he takes off his headphones, Mike notices Roy sipping a cup of tea and requests a share. However, Roy's expression turns grim as he informs Mike that it is his last cup. Without another word, Roy exits the car, leaving Mike to ponder his actions. Confused at the hostile energy Roy is giving him, Mike asks Harry if he has done something wrong, but Harry assures him that his friend was the same with other people as well. He assures him that if he gives it a little time, they will start getting along. Upon Roy's return, Mike takes the initiative to extend a formal introduction, eager to establish a connection. He enthusiastically shares details about the remarkable project he has been working on, which involves recording radio frequencies emitted by celestial objects in outer space. Mike hopes that by sharing his passion and the significance of his work, he can forge a bond with Roy and ignite his curiosity. He elaborates on the concept of capturing and interpreting wave transmissions, explaining how this breakthrough technology enables them to construct visual representations of celestial objects, including the vast expanse of the universe itself. Mike acknowledges that while his invention holds immense potential for advancing the study of space, he humbly admits that it still has a long journey ahead before reaching its full functional capacity. After an exhausting stretch of work, the group succumbs to fatigue and falls into a deep slumber. However, Mike is abruptly awakened by the familiar sound of a specific frequency that had caught his attention earlier. Determined to share this discovery, he rouses Harry from his sleep, urging him to listen to the transmission. To their dismay, the signal seems to have vanished, leaving them puzzled and yearning for its return. Telling him that it was probably just a pulsar, Harry leaves the car to recalibrate the telescope. While he's gone, Mike records a message to send out to the signal that he had captured earlier. Once he encodes the message, he transmits it unaware that Roy was awake and listening to him. After Harry returns, Roy captures an image of a satellite on his computer and focuses on it, feeling nostalgic. While he watches it, the satellite disappears for a few seconds before reappearing again. Confused, Roy explains what happened to Harry, but he doesn't believe him, which upsets Roy. In an attempt to calm the tension in the car, Mike says it was okay because it was just a satellite. Angry at the man's nonchalant words, Roy speaks to him harshly, telling him that he has taken his job. When Roy leaves the car, Mike asks Harry what Roy meant when he said that he took his job. Harry explains that the satellite they just saw by the name of Goodman was one Roy had developed. He tells him that he had met Roy while he was assigned to develop the satellite and found that he was an amazing engineer. Just months before their project deadline, Mike's company acquired Roy's workplace, resulting in Roy's termination. Reflecting on their shared history, Mike reveals that he and Roy, along with another friend, had formed this group during their time working together. The information he hears makes Mike feel sorry for Roy. When Roy returns to the car, he feels bad about his outburst and offers Mike a cup of tea as an apology. A few hours pass, and Mike is awakened yet again by an audio transmission. Hearing it closely, he realizes that the message he had sent earlier was being returned to him a bit contorted. Confused, he lets Harry and Roy hear the message, but they assume it must be a glitch in the equipment or the system. Although Mike assumes it's a bounce back, Roy mentions that the loop of the message is greater than what Mike sent, therefore, it cannot be a bounce back. Seeking confirmation, Mike contacts his office and asks a colleague to verify the frequency of the mysterious transmission they believe to be a waterhole signal, characterized by a distinct and tranquil tunnel sound. Despite the clarity of the transmission on their end, the person at the office informs Mike that they are not receiving any signal and abruptly ends the call. Roy and Harry go out to assume positions with their respective antennas and spread out when they get the go-ahead from Mike. With the one on the car and the two antennas Harry and Roy are holding, they were able to establish 3 sectors to receive the transmissions, giving them a stronger signal. As the trio expands the triangle formed by their antennas, the transmission gradually becomes clearer, prompting Mike to instruct them to halt and maintain their positions. Suddenly, the frequency's sound becomes remarkably distinct, unlike anything they have ever encountered. With the antenna precisely positioned at the point of strongest signal, Harry and Roy make their way back to the car. As the equipment started experiencing disturbances, Mike's computer began behaving erratically, eventually leading to a complete power outage. Upon Roy and Harry's return, Mike attempts to reboot his computer, only to discover that the recording he had made is missing, resulting in the loss of all their hard work. Mike is disappointed about losing all of the breakthroughs he had made in his work and sits outside the car to grab some fresh air. Roy, understanding what it feels like to have everything he worked on ripped out of him, came to speak to him, offering him words of encouragement. He tells him that if they were the only ones receiving the signal, then it was their responsibility to make sure the whole world heard it because it would mean first contact with an extraterrestrial being. In a heartfelt conversation, Mike discloses that the same company that terminated Roy had also fired Harry due to his unwavering support for Roy's project. Understanding the depth of their shared experience, Mike advises Roy to approach his friendship with Harry with compassion and understanding. Overwhelmed with remorse for his past behavior, Roy acknowledges the weight of his actions and the months of avoidance that have strained their bond. Grateful for Mike's intervention, Roy expresses his sincere gratitude for helping him realize the importance of rekindling his friendship with Harry and vows to make amends. Roy, filled with remorse, approaches Harry and inquires about the circumstances surrounding his termination. To Roy's surprise, Harry reveals that he made the conscious decision to quit rather than be fired. Harry explains that he took this step because he strongly disagreed with the way the company mistreated Roy, and he chose not to mention it earlier to spare Roy any unnecessary guilt. Overwhelmed by a mix of emotions, Roy offers a heartfelt apology for accidentally causing Harry to lose his job. However, Harry interrupts him, emphasizing that he doesn't want to continue working in an environment that failed to recognize and value its employees. Coming up with an idea to track exactly where the signal was coming from, they utilized the idea Roy had earlier about the disappearing satellite. As it passes by, the 3 men keep a close eye on it and watch as it disappears when its signal interferes with the one being transmitted to them, then reappears a few seconds later. Thinking of something, Roy asks Mike to run his program again so they can see the sky map. Although Mike mentions that it doesn't work properly, Roy urges him to try it anyway. When they run the program and see the map, Roy explains that Mike's program worked perfectly and what they were seeing was some other object being picked up by the antennas. In their quest for a more detailed observation, the group eagerly turns to Harry's powerful telescope, hoping to unravel the mystery before them. As they adjust the telescope's position, their anticipation mounts and their jaws drop in sheer astonishment. The realization dawns upon them that an immense object, spanning a vast expanse of space, looms before their eyes. Initially puzzled by the absence of visible stars, they shift the telescope's view slightly to the right, and their amazement reaches new heights as they behold a breathtaking cluster of twinkling lights, adorning the enigmatic object like celestial jewels. The sight leaves them in awe, their minds racing with questions and wonder at the extraordinary spectacle unfolding before them. Harry takes a picture of the object for evidence. Mike is excited to find out that his system works and what he had assumed was a glitch was simply the object floating in space. Suddenly, they receive a message signal in binary code and are unable to believe their eyes. They realize the earlier message Mike had sent wasn't bouncing back. Instead, they were receiving a whole new broadcasting. With determination, Mike dives into decoding the intricate binary code embedded within the signal. As the lines of cryptic data unravel before his eyes, he discovers something extraordinary, which is a visual message. The image encapsulates essential knowledge about humanity and life on Earth. encompassing not only basic information, but also intricate details about Earth's biochemical composition and the fundamental blueprint of DNA. As the group meticulously analyzes the decoded message, they make a startling revelation. A subtle but significant difference emerges when comparing the cosmic origin of the DNA formula within the message to the one known by humans. It becomes evident that this profound discovery challenges the conventional understanding of humanity's origins, hinting at a cosmic connection that transcends the boundaries of our earthly existence. The implications of this revelation send shockwaves through the group, igniting a fervor of curiosity and a thirst for further exploration. They find themselves on the precipice of a paradigm-shifting realization, poised to uncover the profound mysteries that lie at the intersection of humanity and the vast cosmos. Suddenly, the devices begin to lose power due to excessive usage, causing a wave of panic among the group. Mike, realizing that his hard drive has malfunctioned, is unable to record the crucial information they have just uncovered. The stakes are high, as a complete power outage would result in the loss of everything they have worked so hard to discover. In a desperate attempt to salvage their findings, Roy swiftly rushes to unplug all unnecessary devices, leaving only Mike's running to ensure the preservation of their valuable data. The tension in the air is palpable as they cling to the hope that their efforts will not be in vain and that they can safeguard the groundbreaking knowledge they have acquired. The group only had 18 minutes to successfully retrieve the files before they lost them forever. After rushing to gather their equipment, the group hurries to the station, their only source of power located there. Roy drives like a madman to get to the station so they can salvage their data. Mike called his colleague at the station and asked him to prepare a power unit so they could immediately charge the equipment. When they finally make it to the station, they find Mike's colleague Dave waiting for them with the batteries, and they manage to save the data in the nick of time. When they finally come down, Dave informs them that they have discovered the real thing. An official statement was released that tracking stations around the world have identified a craft in lower Earth orbit. Mike gives Dave the files on everything they had discovered, including the binary code. Curiosity brimming in his eyes, Dave asks about the precise moment they initially detected the transmission. As the group shares the time, a look of astonishment overtakes Dave's face. With a mixture of awe and excitement, he reveals that they have achieved something monumental, telling them that they were the first to establish contact. A sense of wonder envelops the group as they gather around, their eyes fixed on the towering antennas. A binary transmission is sent from Earth to the craft with a message that says, "Welcome to Earth." As they watch, the spacecraft descends down to Earth enveloped in a glowing blue light. And with that, the movie ends.